Hey everybody, I'm Greg Soul, and this is Why Am I, a podcast where I talk to interesting people and try and trace a path to where they find themselves today. My guest this go around is Chuck McCarthy. He's actually pretty hard to describe. He's worked in the film industry both in Atlanta and LA. He's a prolific artist, something of a serial entrepreneur, it seems. Man, that's a hard word to say. A TEDx alumni. He's also a children's book author. Not by choice, apparently, and a former people walker, which is kind of exactly what that sounds like. Ultimately, it seems like he thinks a lot about a lot of things. So I think maybe he's here to validate your reality and perhaps inspire you to look at the world a bit differently. At least that's what he did for me. So I first hope you share this with a friend, help us grow. And next, I hope you enjoy this chat with Chuck. Man, I love alliteration. Chuck McCarthy, thank you for joining me on the Why Am I podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Your face doesn't necessarily say, I am super stoked. I'm just kidding. You look absolutely delightfully happy. Are you kind of, is this your resting face?
Sometimes. Lately, my face has just been really tired because I'm a dad of a 2-year-old now. So that's, I'm usually just kind of tired.
Well, I'm assuming you and I are, let me concoct this scenario where I'm out for a walk and you happen to be out for a walk and we tend to walk the same paths regularly. I'm not sure why that would happen, but we do, and start a conversation and we talk about me and quickly exhaust that because I'm actually pretty boring when you get right down to it. And it's your turn to reciprocate, Chuck. So who are you?
Chuck McCarthy. I live in Los Angeles, California, and I don't know. I'm an artist, an actor, and I guess an entrepreneur is what I would be.
Entrepreneur. Does that? You sounded hesitant to call yourself that. Why?
Yeah, I'm like the the stories about the entrepreneurs, like the guy who started McDonald's, or the guy who bought McDonald's from the guys that started McDonald's and then made it, super big. Like he had a bunch of failed businesses beforehand, and a lot of the guys, a lot of people you hear about are they have all these failures. I'm pretty much in the failure stage where everything is sort of a half success, mostly failure kind of thing. So yeah.
Half success, half failure. Well, that's you were talking about yin and yang earlier. Is that the balance you look for in your life?
No, that's the balance I'm given by the universe, just like yin and yang.
Okay. Well, you mentioned, the first thing you said was that you have a 2-year-old, and if anybody has even gently brushed across your Instagram, I think it's perfectly obvious that he is a huge part of your life. So you said it first for a reason. So is that is parenthood everything you had hoped it would be?
Yeah, I don't. No, I don't think I would. I mean, I don't think I'm really cut out to be a dad. And it's not the getting up in the middle of the night or changing diapers or any of that. It's the lying and the deceit and the hiding things like scissors and everything you don't want the kid to have, and lying to them about the TV being broken or Cocomelon having run out or whatever. It's all that stuff that I'm not really good at. Just gaslighting my kid all the time and hiding anything I don't want him to eat. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a joke. I mean, it's not a joke. that really is a part of that I do have a hard time with. But yeah, I love him. He's great. He's very cute. If you've seen the Instagram, you know that.
Yeah, he's a cute kid.
He's cute. he seems intelligent. I don't know if it's a trick, but yeah, he seems very like he's very smart. We keep running into random pediatricians, and they find out how old he is, and they're like, "Whoa, he's very advanced." I don't know. Yeah. So he's smart and cute, and I spend most of my time taking care of him right now. So.
Yeah. The cute thing, I've seen a lot of ugly kids, so I have zero problem telling somebody they have an ugly kid. And yeah, your kid's
You're
certainly
good.
a cute one. He's one of the good ones.
Good.
For sure.
Good. Yeah.
So the
It's
lying,
it's hard to tell. It's like, I don't know, I've made a bunch of like comedy sketches and things, and you always have to kind of watch things and try to picture them through, like, make sure you're not looking at them through the lens of like, oh, that's me and my friends. Like, that's funny because, I know that person. And I feel like it's the same thing. It's like I'm always trying to decide if he's cute and funny, or I'm just, I just have those rose colored glasses on of being his dad.
either way, I think, it's all good. People will tell you whatever you need to hear, for sure. I'm not one of those though. So
Okay.
you can trust me for sure.
Well, I'm going to tell him that you said that he was actually cute, but not in a creepy way.
No. I've got kids that are ugly as hell. No. So you said lying and deceit is something that you really don't like. That's actually, you say that in jest, but that's genuinely something that like always bothered me with my kids. I don't know if you were half serious about that, but like lying to my kids about Santa, like I always hated that. Like there was no part of that I enjoyed. Like I don't want to tell these little tiny people like this made up story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I said that we haven't, we have gotten to that point with him because now he's 2, but I, talking about my wife telling him that like, oh, the TV's all out of Cocomelon or whatever, and stuff like that. I'm like, you're constantly gaslighting him, and she was like, I'm not gaslighting him. I'm like, that's literally what gaslighting is that you are telling a lie that like contradicts reality, and you're creating this false reality, and like denying his denying reality. I don't know. So, but yeah.
I eventually found out,
because you have to do that. I mean,
yeah,
you have to do things like, if he's got your scissors, you have to take them away, and if you don't want him to have a meltdown about it, you have to be like, oh, they exploded. Sorry. I didn't want them to explode. I was on your side. I wanted to give them back to you, but they exploded.
Yeah. I found out, you really do have to lie to your kids about Santa, because at some point they're going to find out the truth, and then you can threaten, that's right, because I create reality and I can crush everything you understand and love. So be careful, right? It's like a power play, I think.
Yeah.
So number 2, you talked about living out in California. Are you California born and bred, or are you kind of a transplant?
Yeah, I'm not a Cali native, although I think by this point I've been in Los Angeles like over 15 years. So I think I'm a Los Angelian now, or whatever, officially. I think if you're somewhere over 10 years, I guess you're probably that. No, I was born in Alabama, and then we lived in Massachusetts some, which is where I had the pizza I don't know if people will see that part, but I lived in Gloucester, Massachusetts, which you might know from The Perfect Storm. I don't know. It was a book and a movie. I read the book. And my uncle was a bartender there, so he knew like all the people in the movie, the real people that were in the movie. It's like,
oh, that's cool.
He had mixed opinions. Most people there had mixed opinions about the story. but yeah, and then lived in Atlanta and went to school in Georgia, and yeah, went to school at the University of Georgia. So yeah, I'm just riding high on back-to-back national championship football wins. It's really changed my life.
It's balance. That's the balance we were talking about.
Yeah.
So you went from Alabama. How old when you moved from storm? There's thunder struck out there. How old were you when you moved from Alabama to Massachusetts?
5.
Oh, okay. As I said, that feels like that would be a pretty good culture shock. But when you're that young, I mean, probably not so much, huh?
It was still a shock because Alabama, we were in like lower Alabama, so it was like always pretty warm and hot, and then we went to Gloucester, which is always pretty cold and terrible, and yeah, I mean, my biggest memory of like literal culture shock or being like confronted with it was I was in kindergarten, and when I first got to kindergarten, one of the girls in my class just kept saying over and over again, Charlie said Rayid. Charlie said Rayid. Charlie said Rayid. Making fun of me for saying Rayid, saying red wrong. So I lost my accent pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say, you certainly, I wouldn't have pegged you as being from Alabama. That's not, it's not the dialect I would have.
Well, I watched too much TV growing up, so I don't know if I have an accent from anywhere, unless it is Bayside High School or something.
So Alabama to Massachusetts back to the South, to Atlanta, where it's hot and swampy all the time, right? Hot Atlanta.
Yeah, it's hot Atlanta. It's the town built on air conditioning. If you look at like when the population of Atlanta started to grow, it was basically in the 70s when all the buildings started actually having air conditioning.
Sounds like you moved around a lot. Were you pretty good, pretty adept at making new friends and fitting into new cultures, I guess?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. It's one of those things where I think I moved around enough to never quite feel like I was specifically from anywhere. And even like living in Atlanta, we were there for a long time, but I went to a boarding school on scholarship. So every year I moved back and forth from the boarding school back home. And then I went to college and moved every year of college. And after, like I had been here in LA, I lived in an apartment here for like 10 years. And I realized that was the longest amount of time I had lived anywhere in my whole life. So it's, I don't know, kind of interesting to think about that.
Never really felt. So does LA, I mean, does it feel like home now, or as much as any place has ever felt like home, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that it feels pretty homey. Like before the pandemic, it definitely felt very homey. Like literally I would walk down the street and see my homies. Like I was like I knew people in my neighborhood, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I guess if you know people in your neighborhood, then someplace feels like home. But
do you feel, I mean, we're technically out of the pandemic, right now, or do you still feel kind of isolated from all that?
A little bit, just because I think having a kid sort of isolates you a little bit. And then we moved away from where we were living here in LA. So it's like,
Gotcha.
I don't know, it's interesting how like little moves can kind of make you feel a little isolated or separate you from people. And, even just a little bit of distance can really change your relationships.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I've never really been super great at making friends and stuff like that. I think I've only ever had like one best friend at a time, right? It's like
Uh-huh.
I had I maybe a quota. It's like I just have one, and then when that one cycles out, I'll pick up another one, sort of thing. So I don't know. It's kind of a new concept to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I I used to feel like I didn't have a lot of friends, and then what I realized was that I only felt that way because I had grown up watching TV shows where everybody had a bunch of friends. There was even a show on TV when I was in like high school. It was called Friends, and and those people had friends. They were always hanging out and friends. I did have something sort of like that for a while here, because I lived in a building where everybody was friends and we got to hang out. But like, in general, people don't have that many friends. I mean, in reality, it's like you have acquaintances and you have people you work with, and then you have like close friends. And I don't know. It seems like it gets harder and harder to maintain the close friends, especially when they're not close physically to you.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. So, what took you to LA in the first place?
I came here on vacation.
And then you stayed for 10 years?
Yeah. Yeah. I was pretty I'm a pretty serious Hollywood actor cliche. I literally came here on vacation with some clothes and I, for some reason, brought my guitar, even though I'm not really a musician and not good at playing the guitar or singing. But I brought my guitar and some clothes, and I came for like, it was supposed to be like 2 or 3 week vacay visit with like a friend of mine from college. And then I stayed here.
Literally. You're not
Yeah.
kidding. This is it. And would you just head back and pick all your stuff up and then
Yeah.
say, I'm
I
moving to
went
LA?
back and forth and got some stuff, but yeah, in general, like, I had been working in film and TV production in Atlanta, and I'd worked with some people out here, and they had told me, "Oh yeah, you can work out here." And one of them got nominated for an Oscar for like a short film, and so I figured she was probably going to work a lot. I mean, since she was nominated for an Oscar, I was like, okay, she's not joking. I mean, and she'll definitely be working and be able to hire me and stuff. So I don't know. Came out, then never left.
That's cool. It always makes you wonder, is it like, because I've talked to a handful of people that have made just like really drastic life changes. And it always makes you wonder, do you think you're just the kind of person that's receptive to those sorts of things? Like, I might just pick up and move next week. You don't know. Or do you think you were in like a headspace? Like you just happen to be at the right place in your life?
Um, well, I think I was at the right place in my life, and um, I mean, the real thing was that I was coming to visit, but I was coming to visit to see if I liked it here or if I could actually get work here. So, you know, really it was that I came to see if I could get work, and then I just got work and kept working. And so I stayed. But in general, I had already decided that I really thought I needed to come here instead of stay there. So it wasn't as much of a snap decision as it might seem, from the outside, even though I literally was planning on just coming for 3 weeks and checking it out and then going back. I just, sometimes you check it out, sometimes you never check out. I don't know. It's
I can
like
dig it.
yeah, like the Eagles Hotel California. I don't know.
All right, so you find yourself there. What have you been doing to keep yourself busy? I was looking at your IMDb, so you did some work kind of up to the pandemic, and then it seems like much of the rest of the world, everything kind of sort of stopped right there at that point.
Yeah. So I came out here, I worked in production. I did mainly commercials. I started doing a lot of my own stuff. Then I got really into the internet. Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of it. It's the internet.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of it. I started a blog called Ideas by Chuck, where I would just write up my ideas for businesses and inventions and things that I didn't ever think that I would be able to accomplish, either because I just didn't have any passion or the money or time. And I started doing that. I got some pretty good recognition for that. I was on CNN headline news, did a 5-minute expose about about my inventions blog. And then I got really deep into Tumblr. I was the comedy editor of Tumblr for a while until it got stolen from me by a guy who was better at it than me. And then because of all that, and because I was working in commercials and pretty interested in marketing, advertising stuff, I decided to try to become a social media manager or type person. I got a job at a company, and then I did not like it. And then I decided to become a Hollywood actor, because I had seen how the process worked, at least on the commercial side. And so I went for that, and thought I would just get jobs as homeless people and homeless people in in commercials as extras or on TV shows and in movies. But yeah, I actually ended up playing more Russians than homeless people, I guess, or something. I don't know.
You're still waiting to fulfill that homeless fantasy.
Yeah, I did play a bunch of homeless people. It was interesting. I did a thing where I was a homeless ice skater in a show with Matthew Perry. He was on that show I was telling you about, Friends. I did that, and I was a homeless ice skater, and it was really funny because a lot of the other homeless people that played homeless, that was their thing. That was their thing in Hollywood. And so I got a lot of kind of stink eye looks from the other background actors that day. He don't look homeless to me, kind of a vibe. And then I got kind of even more of that when they wanted me to go skate and run into Matthew Perry and the other guy or whatever. Just because he can skate thinks he can play homeless. I don't think so. But yeah, I did a bunch of that. I was a biker. I was actually in a sketch for Talk Soup that was nominated for an Emmy, I think, but we lost to Barack Obama's Between Two Ferns interview. Yeah, so I have a real reason to say thanks, Obama.
Literally stole something from you.
Yeah, so I don't know, did that, and then I joined SAG, and a lot of the commercial stuff is non-union, and I don't know, pandemic happened, I started um, a company walking people, and that sort of, I don't know, I thought it was going to help me to be on TV or, you know, on the news globally, like all around the world. I was getting interviewed about that, and it didn't help my acting career.
I mean, ultimately, that's how I found you, was through the walking people stuff.
Yeah.
I found it pretty interesting. Your interviews were pretty charming, and it not only was that, but it also, you ended up doing a TED Talk because of it, which is bonkers.
Yeah. Well, I like to make sure people, it was a TEDx, which
Hey,
is
man,
like
don't diminish it. Don't
the
diminish it.
farm. It's like the Farm League TED Talk, but I think I killed it, and I headlined. I was the headliner. They don't tell you that on the. I was the headliner, and yeah, it was a crazy experience, because it was at UCLA, which is, again, not the same thing as like STEM-wise community college TEDx or whatever, but uh yeah, I did that. That was yeah, it was a pretty wild ride, but like I said, it definitely ended in sort of a, I wouldn't say failure, but failure.
Just
I
not
wouldn't
a
say
wild
failure.
success.
Yeah, I wouldn't say failure, but other people might call it a failure. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I watched the TED Talk, and as a fellow homeless background actor, I thought you did a pretty good job. Maybe not as good as on ice skates, but you did pretty good up
Well,
there. But
thanks.
no, I genuinely enjoyed it, and I thought the message. I mean, well, the message actually connected with me, and I really liked that, and I was curious, like the whole idea. So we sort of glossed over like your people walking thing, right? Like you were kind of like a dog walker, but for people, they would pay you to take them for walks and stuff like that. And it seems like it started as a joke, but then kind of turned into something interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it started as a joke between like me and my wife, now my girlfriend then, but not like it was just something, like it was something we started talking about jokingly. And then the more we talked about it, and we would talk about it while walking, because one of my other top 10 rules for health success is, if you're going to go out to dinner, walk to dinner. So I don't know. We had started walking to go to restaurants that were, not super close, like half a mile away, and so we would walk to restaurants, and we started talking about it, just talking about the fact that it would be, that would be a funny name for it or whatever, that it was kind of a funny idea, but the thing that made it, really funny, or to me, was that it was something I thought people could actually use, and would help them, for either, I thought it would be for safety or for motivation. And then a lot of the news stories made it about like loneliness, which, I'm not going to say it wouldn't help with loneliness, but that wasn't my initial like thought process when I started doing it. Just because, most of the people that were using it weren't necessarily home, they weren't necessarily lonely. It was just that they didn't have somebody next door that was going to go for a walk with them at the exact time that they wanted to go for a walk. So I don't know. That's it. And I like to think of it less as walking people like dogs, and more like a bartender meets a personal trainer.
I like that.
And I say bartender because I'm not a therapist. I'm not
I
I'm not a
was gonna
board
say,
certified therapist.
I'm sure a lot of people like unloaded like everything that was going on in their life, what happened that day, just trying
Yeah.
to.
Well, I mean, yeah, with like repeat customers, we would kind of get into some um, more serious stuff. But a lot of people really just want somebody to just kind of tell how they're doing, and not really necessarily deep stuff. A lot of it is just like people's need for just a connection, or to have even what people consider to be like small talk, or just to have somebody validate their experience. If you get cut off on the highway really bad, and get really angry, and you get home and you tell your wife or your husband or boyfriend or whatever, oh, somebody cut me off, like they were a real dick, or jerk, or whatever, and then they say like, oh, it probably wasn't that bad, or it was probably your fault. Like like that's the worst thing. You want the person to be like, yeah, people are jerks. I mean, it's not necessarily like everybody wants a yes man, but they want to have their reality validated, which is something I talked about in the TED Talk, which is probably why maybe it was something that resonated with you, because you were saying you don't like to gaslight your kids and lie to them about Santa Claus, because it's important to have other people around to validate our reality, which is why people, most people, if they're just alone for too long, end up going a little crazy.
I've never heard it put quite like that. We need other people to validate our reality.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So it's almost like the idea, if I think this thing is a good idea, like I need somebody to bounce that off of, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that, or just, I mean, the reason why gaslighting is so terrible and why people get so messed up by it is like, that's invalidating somebody's reality. If it's sunny outside and you say, oh, it's not too sunny, but it is sunny, but you're saying, oh, no, it's not. You're not having that feeling. Or, you tell somebody I'm sad, and they say, no, you're not. Why are you sad? You shouldn't be sad. And that's why a lot of times people need to go see a therapist or something, because the therapist isn't going to tell them like, you're wrong. You're wrong for feeling depressed, or you're wrong about this, or whatever. It's like, you want to be able to say to somebody else, oh, this pizza tastes good, and have them say, yeah, it's delicious. Or this pizza doesn't taste that great. Yeah, it's terrible. It's from Little Caesars. Sick
Shots
burn,
fired.
Little
Shots
Caesars.
fired,
Yeah.
bro. I don't know. You may have just polarized half the audience. Well, no, like it makes you wonder, is that something you've been looking for, like a lot in your childhood? Maybe growing up, you didn't necessarily have somebody to always validate your thoughts and feelings.
No, I don't know if that's so much what it would be. I mean, I used to, like, as far as starting the People Walker, I also, one of like the things I would say jokingly, which was really true, was that I started that service for my 8-year-old self, because my mom would always make us go on these long walks, like through like cold Gloucester. And I wish that I could pay somebody to go walk with her instead of me walking with her. But yeah, no, I don't think, I mean, I think it's something that I don't think I experienced any more than anybody else, but I think it's something that everybody everybody experiences is having that denial from time to time. And again, a lot of times it does come from our parents, because they start off having to do it, and then they end up doing it without even thinking, get up, I'm tired. You're not tired, you slept, and that's the thing, is like, that's either a parent just denying the kid's reality of like being tired, because teenagers are tired a lot because they're growing and whatever, or it's them just getting back at them for being a baby that woke them up at 3 a.m. for 6 months.
So you're saying you're saving all that up, you're harboring all that sleep deprivation.
No, I'm just saying that, like, that's the thing, is like, people end up doing it to other people and not even realizing that they're doing it. I mean, and my wife was doing it, and at this point we have to do it. Like I said, like we were talking about with like scissors or something, like you have to be like, oh no, the scissors, they ran away, like they're gone, or the kid's going to keep wanting to get the scissors. But then you kind of end up doing it with things that matter, or things when the kid is old enough to realize it, or to have feelings that are getting hurt, or their reality is getting warped. And I think, like I said, a lot of people don't even realize what they're doing, or that it can be a problem. So I don't know.
Do you think you started kind of looking forward to that part of the people walk? Actually, for me, like I say, I despise small talk. I like big talk, but sometimes the small talk is a bridge to the big talk, right? So you kind of have to get through it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's in my it's in my TED talk. But you have to build on a relationship, and I can't remember exactly how deep into this I got on the TED talk, but it's like, if you're like in a situation, like you go to a conference, and it's a conference for guys named Greg that wear glasses and have facial hair and are into, I don't know, talking to people, then you can skip a lot of the small talk, like you can skip a lot of that, but a lot of what small talk is building that bridge between two people, and saying like, we're on the same plane, we're in the same reality, I'm there with you, it is hot outside. I do love Idris Elba, he's a great actor, like,
absolutely.
I think this season of The Mandalorian was written by ChatGPT. Yes, okay, I get it. Like, we're on the same page. Now we can talk about, where'd you get your glasses, other Greg? It's like, to reach that point, you have to start off by establishing that you're in the same reality, that you can have a conversation. I mean, and that's where like diplomacy between countries has, historically been, a hard thing to do, is that a language barrier creates other barriers between just being able to say like, this is some really good French onion and
disgusting oyster crackers. Yeah.
French onion soup. I didn't know oyster crackers would go well with it. Yeah. Well, they're not. They're for the I'm blanking on
clam chowder.
Clam chowder. They're for the clam chowder. All right.
Well,
oh yeah.
What you said there, like, that actually makes a ton of sense, and I'd never thought about it in these terms. Like, my brain doesn't work like a normal person, but the idea of small talk, and this goes back to you saying validate reality, right? I guess it's also like common ground. You say it's hot outside, and I say, yeah, it is hot outside, and we sort of, I guess it shows me that I can trust you. It's like, we're moving in the same direction. It establishes some connection there and allows you to start building upon that.
Yeah.
I hate small talk so much. I never thought about it as like an actual useful tool.
Well, it is. I mean, and also, like I said, a lot of people, I mean, we all need a certain amount of validation of reality. So it's like, and a lot of times, with a lot of things, we're missing more and more just simple interactions with people that would shape that reality for us. And so many of the interactions are online between people who may not actually even be real people, or might be pretending to be somebody else. So, where people used to go to the grocery store and be able to talk to the cashier for a second, and just be like, it's a nice day. Yeah, it is a nice day. That might seem like totally inane, but it's like, people need that to basically say like, yes, I'm still alive. I'm in this world. Like it's real. Like that person is real. They acknowledge me. It's why people hate being ignored. I mean, like if you are, go into a restaurant and the maitre d' or the receptionist host just kind of ignores you, most people get really upset, because nobody likes to be ignored, because that's you're basically that's the person kind of like ignoring that you exist. Which, even if it's just the like Chili's hostess, can really affect how you feel.
It's interesting. Yeah. So it sounds like,
sorry, that was a pretty deep tangent.
No, I like it. Yeah, I like it. I love it. Some of this stuff, like, I just need to take it and marinate on it for a while. It's like sometimes I have to just kind of evaluate how I think or feel about it. That one's a good one though, because I have struggled to find the use in small talk, and I think you've just changed my mind. That it does have power.
But you're doing small talk. I mean, like the whole fantasy restaurant thing, that's small talk. You're just framing it in a different, you're just putting it in a nicer frame than my IKEA frames. You're you're asking what's your favorite food? Like that's classic. That's pretty classic small talk.
Well, I mean, yes and no. The What'd You Like restaurant, I'm sorry, I don't mean to correct you. But its genuine purpose is to connect with somebody emotionally, because one of those things on that meal will have some kind of connection to you and your past, and it's going to make you feel something. It'll make you sort of like think about your grandma in the kitchen when she was making that cornbread, right? Or the times we sat at the meal, and it just sort of changes the nature of the conversation we're about to have. So it really connects you to a memory, an emotion, and it sort of sets the stage for, also, I'm a safe person to talk to, right? And we're going to maybe dive a little deeper. So, but for me, like, a lot of times, like, so previously in my life, I didn't really feel things. And that's weird to say, because most people feel stuff constantly all the time, right? But I didn't genuinely really start feeling stuff until I was in my 30s. So it's like very foreign concept. So there's certain things that help trigger me to like feel stuff. And that, food is definitely one of those connection points for me.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, but it's also a very universal thing, because
we all have to eat.
We all eat food.
Yeah.
And most people have a favorite food. You're asking it in a way that allows people to roll into and find that thing that has an emotional connection.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is definitely a better thing than just saying, "Hey, what's your favorite food?" Yeah. But at the same time, in general, you're asking, "What's your favorite food?" Which is, again, I think pretty classic small talk. I mean,
yeah. And to be fair, I've actually used it as small talk when meeting people before. Yeah. Because it's a good jumping off point. I'm trying to never talk about the weather, because I don't want to feel like that old of an old guy. I mean, trust me, I am that old of an old guy, but I don't want to feel that way. So,
Well, listen, if you don't want to feel old, you got to talk about the weather because you need to acknowledge that global warming is real
oh my
and
gosh.
global climate change is real. And by not talking about the weather, you're denying the reality of global climate change.
I
And
can't
this,
I can't believe you just guilted me into
yeah.
trying to talk about that. What are you, my mother? Get out of here.
And climate change is not all heating up. It's these catastrophic events like the snowstorm is still climate change.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I've heard it referred to as weather weirding, right? Just all kinds of strange things start happening, and then most of them we can't predict. So
yeah, well,
definitely evidence of that.
yeah, exactly. And then someday we're gonna wake up and there's just gonna be a storm that never stops, like on what is it, Saturn or Jupiter? Jupiter. There's the eye of Jupiter is just a storm that's been going on for hundreds of years. Don't want that.
No, I plan to be dead in a year or two, so I'm not going to see any of this stuff. So, feel free to rail against it as much as you like. Doesn't bother me.
All right. Well, just think about the weather, okay? You don't have to watch the Weather Channel, but
It's a good point.
Okay.
Is that actually a cause that's near and dear to your heart, or are you just coming for me?
I think it's a cause that none of us can ignore, or it's something that's happening that I worry about, but I don't know if there's anything to be done about it. I don't know. I took a class in college that was supposed to be like just Excel spreadsheets. It was supposed to be like basic programming and like mainly Excel stuff. And it was taught by the head of the department and this other professor though, and they basically like tag teamed the class, and it was all about climate change and how we're destroying the environment. It was so like all the stuff they would have us, like all these like simple programs they would have us write in Excel were all about basically like diminishing returns on crop yields and like how much carbon dioxide is in the air. And we had to read a book called Daisy Planet about how like the environment could be changed just by like daisies being a different color if they were all over the planet. I don't know. It was pretty crazy. And their whole like the only thing either of them believed would help with the planet, with the environment, was the demographic transition, which is basically just people living in cities instead of on farms, and then or living in what do you call it? Industrialized societies, and then having less children because it's more advantageous to have less children in an industrialized society than in an agricultural society. But it's like, not necessarily happening as fast as it needs to. And I don't know, sorry, rambling about the demographic transition.
No, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's like the climate change and stuff. It didn't hit me as hard until I had kids. And then I started thinking a lot more long term. It's like, what are they going to have to deal with? And, if they ever end up having kids, like now I got to worry about these grandkids and stuff.
Yeah, I just really love taking showers. And I think that or I worry that like my kid's not going to be able to take showers because everything's going to be so screwed up.
That's such a wild thing to think about.
Yeah.
That's going to break my brain later when I'm trying to sleep. I'm going to be thinking about the inability of people to take showers if everything goes south.
Yeah. Well, what I came up with a thing recently of like what you should do if you're having a hard time sleeping, or you're thinking about something that feels bad. is you think about something else that feels sort of like also equally bad, but that you have no control over and that is totally pointless to think about. And what I came up with is that there's numbers out there that are so big, you could spend your entire life trying to say them out loud.
That's crazy.
So think about that next time you need to think about something.
Oh, that's a weird one. You come up with a lot of this interesting thought fodder.
I have
I don't
one
know
of
what
those
to call it.
I have one of those bathroom reader books, and I get most of it from there. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have any other bathroom readers.
Yeah, yeah. I'm illiterate too. I get it.
Yeah.
Something that broke my brain that I was learning about the other day was 52 factorial, right? So the idea that if you have a deck of cards and if you have it in like brand new form, if you shuffle it about 4, maybe 5 times, odds are that the orientation of the cards has never existed in history and will never exist again. So then if you reshuffle that, will most likely, I mean, it's statistically unlikely to ever exist. And so then they give some examples about, like, if you took a grain of sand off the beach every time you emptied out all of the world's oceans, and you empty them out like 1 drop at a time per year, and then you refill them like every drop at a time per year, and you keep doing that, and then after like 1 billion years you'll hit 52 factorial or something like that. Like, it's an incredibly, it's just such a huge number to think about.
That sounds like a number that would take a really long time to say out loud.
Yeah, but it's just the concept of when you have a deck of cards in your hands, every time you shuffle it, you're creating something, a pattern that has never existed before and never will exist again. Like, that stuff like that kind of breaks my brain occasionally to think about.
Yeah. I don't like to think about it. That's why I came up with other things.
The world's a wacky place. Well, Chuck, I've also noticed that you do. I mean, dude, you're very prolific artist. So you do. I saw a lot of cool T-shirt stuff, and ultimately that's how I got in touch with you. Some like you were. Don't worry, I'm not gonna tell you about my podcast or something like that. Which I try to never tell anybody that I podcast because I don't want to be that guy. But then also I know you've like written a children's book, and you illustrate all of that, right?
Look, it matches my shirt, sort of. Yeah. There it is. I went to art school, so I got to try to make my money back.
That's cool. But like, what motivates you to be so prolific to do all this stuff? I actually really dig your shirts, like your hand-drawn ones. Like, I was looking to see if you were selling them, but it didn't appear as if you were anywhere.
Yeah, I had some for sale. I even had a website. It was called Dronica, which I don't really. A lot of times I name things names that I think are terrible. I don't really know why I do that. But I was selling them for $5,000 on there, but I guess that number wasn't big enough to like have people talk about it. Because that's what I was going for by making them $5,000, was that people would, people on the internet would be like, look at this stupid shirt's $5,000. And then if enough people say that, somebody's going to buy one. I mean, just so they can say to their friends, I usually when I do sell them, it's just people on Instagram that I know or that found them or follow me on Instagram, just asking me if they can buy it, and then I'll usually sell it to them unless I've given it away already. So
very cool. Yeah. Well, what was the impetus to write the book? I have a sneaking suspicion it was your child.
Yeah. Well, his name is Charlie, and it's called Little Baby Charlie's Great Big Adventure. This this drawing isn't in the book. It's a bonus drawing. Yeah. It was him. It was people telling me over and over again, you should do a children's book, because I started doing these animals doing dumb stuff like a fish smoking a pipe, and it was really just, I don't know, just to make something. And so people were like, you should do a children's book. And so eventually I did a children's book. I got bullied into it. So I'm one of those, I'm one of those bully success stories.
I can dig it.
Yeah, I got bullied into it.
Those are the success stories you never hear about, like the positive side of bullying.
You do. They just try to cover up the fact that it's bullying that brought that success. I mean, the most classic case is the Karate Kid. If Daniel had never been bullied, he would have never become a karate champion.
Wow. I was thinking like Serena Williams, like her dad was one could maybe say was or like wasn't Tiger Woods' dad something of a bully, and now here is Chuck, the next success story.
Yeah, hard-nosed. Those parents are hard-nosed. Hard-nosed.
Hard-nosed? That's what it is?
Hard-nosed.
So are you hard-nosed with Charlie? Is that what you're going to do?
Well, no, but Daniel LaRusso's mom, she didn't beat him up or tell him to go do karate. He got beat up by, Johnny. Johnny, if there were no Johnny, there would be no Daniel LaRusso. There would be no Karate Kid.
Ah, the yin and the yang.
So... because he's not like the Karate Kid's not like Rocky. Rocky, he wanted to be a boxer. I mean, it was probably the only thing he would ever be able to do. I mean, he didn't seem very good at anything else. Couldn't even say turtles right. But like, Daniel LaRusso, he didn't want to be a karate champion until he got beat up by some Karate Kids. Then he became the Karate Kid.
The Karate Kid.
Yeah,
I really, was it Pat Moreno? Was that,
Pat Morita.
Morita? Yeah. I thought he was the real star of Karate Kid. I thought Danny was just kind of the B story. Yeah.
Well, it was also one of those things where if you watch it again, you might pick it up that, like, I didn't realize this as a child watching it, that Karate Kid is probably one of the first movies to address the Japanese internment camps in the U.S. during World War II, because that's like Pat Morita's storyline is that his wife was forced into one of those internment camps, even though he was in the army fighting for the U.S., and then she died giving birth to their child, and that's why he gets drunk. In that one scene, so it's it's a pretty deep movie. They actually didn't want Pat Morita to play that part because he had been on Happy Days. He had to really fight hard to get the part of Mr. Miyagi, because they were like, you can't be in this movie about a kid that learns karate. You were Arnold on Happy Days, or you owned Arnold's on Happy Days, like, you made fart jokes. That was it. That's my some more Hollywood history.
Some more Chuck hot takes.
Yeah. Well, it's just that one's just a trivia knowledge. The hot take is that without Johnny, there would be no Karate Kid. Without bullying, you wouldn't have the Karate Kid. You wouldn't have a great movie.
So you're saying bullying is the real hero of the movie. It's the real star of the movie then?
Well, I mean, if there was no bullying, there would be no Karate Kid. There would be no Karate Kid movie. There would be no Karate Kid franchise. There would be no Cobra Kai TV series. So, you decide what you think of bullying now.
So really, you just want us to question all this anti-bullying agenda and what their real motives are. Are they really just anti-Karate Kid?
Could be.
Oh my gosh. I feel like you could go down rabbit holes like this all day, every day, and I would genuinely listen to you go down your conspiracy theory rabbit holes, because
Oh,
I would desperately love you to turn them into conspiracy theories right at the end.
well, do you want to hear my? It's more of a fan theory slash conspiracy theory. It's my favorite one that nobody seems to care about. Is is that every single episode of MacGyver is actually just one episode of Quantum Leap.
How does that work? Like he just keeps jumping into a new body?
No, he keeps jumping into a new body in every episode of Quantum Leap,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
The first episode of MacGyver, he leaps into MacGyver's body, and then he doesn't leap out until the series finale because it explains so many of the plot holes in MacGyver. The fact that he would need measurements on a lot of the things he does to MacGyver things. And when the show ends, the show ends because MacGyver is reunited with his estranged son that he didn't know about, and they go off to ride motorcycles together.
Oh, and then he leaps out.
Yeah, and he leaps out.
What about his obtuse refusal to use guns? How does that factor in?
Do you think? Yeah,
I remember an episode because I was a big MacGyver fan. Literally, he had a revolver in his hand, and the bad guy was coming. The bad guy, I think, was unarmed, and he disassembles the revolver to make a mechanism to ensnare this guy. And it's like,
yeah.
Do
you think that sounds like? Do you think that sounds like a military contractor spy, or do you think that sounds like somebody with 3 PhDs? Like Dr. Sam Beckett.
So maybe so what you're saying is this was too easy for Sam, and he really just had to ratchet up the difficulty level. This was what he was going for.
He's not a killer.
He's not.
He's a scientist.
Well, how does the mullet factor into all of this?
The mullet?
Yeah, why would he keep the mullet for so long? Because that doesn't feel like I got 3 PhDs.
Well, I think the mullet was to keep women away. If you look at it, MacGyver never has a real girlfriend.
No, not a lasting one for sure.
No, he doesn't even really I don't know, maybe a kiss on the cheek from time to time. I mean, he's very close with Dana, the guy who plays his boss on there, but otherwise he doesn't really have any sustained relationships. And I think that's, again, because it's Dr. Sam Beckett and not actually MacGyver.
Yeah. And he wouldn't want to overcomplicate the leap, because that was one of the core things on Quantum Leap is like if things got too complicated, he couldn't hold it all together, right? Like
exactly,
all these people are, so he tried to simplify it. So
exactly.
That does make sense.
On Quantum Leap, whenever he has a problem, he'll just fake amnesia. And if you watch MacGyver, he gets so much amnesia, like he definitely had some CTE at the end of that. Yeah, there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of interesting correlations between the two characters that I could go into, but yeah,
those were both franchises that I enjoyed a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
Those are big
yeah,
ones for
me too. And so that's why I was so blown away when I realized that MacGyver is really just one episode of Quantum Leap.
Oh my gosh. I remember one episode of Quantum Leap specifically was a Halloween episode where the devil makes an appearance in that one.
Oh, is it a woman? Or because I know he had there was a woman villain against him or something. wasn't there? Like she was also leaping after him or something, or trying to mess up his plans.
I don't remember that specifically. I just remember actually being a good episode, and I was thinking, is this like a jump the shark moment? Like, but no, I mean, it came back because it was also like just so bizarre that they, introduced Satan. Actually
but he would
appeared.
Yeah, he would never jump the shark. He would leap the shark.
Jesus Christ, on a cracker, on an oyster cracker. Oh my God.
I'm a dad.
That doesn't give you permission to be a horrible human. Oh my goodness, that was so good. Oh man, Chuck, you're killing me. I would weekly, I would have these inane conversations with you. I would love to do this, but for the time being, we are getting pretty close to time, and I want to be respectful of your time. I truly appreciate you popping on, and to me, time is the most precious commodity we have, because I've realized I can acquire anything else. I just can't get more time. So when people give it to me, it's truly a gift, and I appreciate you.
On my TED Talk.
Dude, am I just regurgitating your TED Talk? Was this?
I mean, a little bit.
Maybe is this a quantum leap moment where I'm actually you leaping from just having done your TED Talk to talk to you?
Yeah, or maybe I leaped into you when you turned 30 and started having feelings.
Oof, goodness. Yeah, it could be. And then all of a sudden, I started growing facial hair.
Yeah,
and that is definitely one of your signatures, your trademarks.
Yep,
for sure.
Got a beard.
All right. Well, if you want people to interact with you out on the internet, that wacky, weird place that you so love, how would you have them do that? Like,
just go to www.geocities.xk49192/pages. No, sorry. I kept going with that joke a little too long. I don't know. You can like Google me, find my Instagram, or find my I have chuckmccarthy.com, goes to my Tumblr that's I don't know, kind of defunct, but not, I still update it a little bit. So there's a lot of stuff on there from my history.
So you think you're most active on Instagram?
I'm on Instagram. Yeah, I'm on a lot of them. I'm on most of them.
Would you like people to check out your book as well? I could put a link down there.
Oh yeah, definitely check out Little Baby Charlie's Great Big Adventure. Right. It's a romp. No, seriously, it's really good. I mean, look, this is my favorite drawing from it. I'll share.
It's a freebie.
Here he is.
Is that goat eating spaghetti?
No.
That's peas.
Those are peas.
Oh, okay.
This is Little Baby Charlie ate his peas.
Nice.
I got a note from a 4-year-old critic the other day. Where they had a question.
Okay.
They were like, they said, "Why are there so many H's?" And I said, "Because it's to let you know that it was a really long scream." And he said, "That makes sense."
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well done. All right. Well, I'm gonna again, thank you very much, and I'm gonna click stop on all these things.